gains and material development. Now, if you look at life, I say too, sometimes you look at people, they have more than what they can digest. Some people, you live with people, they are not as intelligent as even you are. They are not more intelligent than you, but within a year, they are able to grasp a lot of money that is more than their need.
Exactly.
And in this world, Allah has created us, I say, to worship Him. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Now, the bounties that have been here in the world, in the earth and in the sky, they are here to meet the necessity for people to eat and drink to worship Allah. Nothing more than that. It's not for us to grasp money at the level of looks, at the level of, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to eat and drink to the level of necessity and worship Him. Sometimes I say to you, look around, there are people who have a lot of money, and not because of their wittiness, not because of their intelligence, but because Allah intervenes sometimes to give them more than what they deserve, to give them more than what they can swallow, to give them what they can consume. Now the remaining, the surplus, belongs to somebody else.
Yeah, you have to redistribute it.
Redistribute it. That is why the day you see a fat man or a fat woman because of overeating, there is somebody skinny, starved, very close to him.
That's
why? Because he or she is eating the share of the gentleman.
Someone else's share.
Today, the supermarkets or the world hypermarkets are storing more than what the world can consume. Yet people are starved. Why? Because redistribution of wealth is not yet being implemented based on very firm institutions. That being the case, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was a leader, who was a leader of a very successful state, could not allow a state that consumed by socio-economic imbalances, where people have more than what they deserve and others have nothing.
Nothing, yeah, that's
I said too, if you may have twins, and then when you have twins, they are both intelligent. They both go to school, the same school. They both are intelligent, they both are hardworking. Both of them graduated with the same degree, a master's degree. Coming out, one of them immediately got a job with the United Nations, being paid international appointment. Thousands of dollars per year, or at least per month. The other one doesn't have a job.
Yeah,
is it because of the one's intelligence?
No, Allah's decision.
Allah's decision. Sometimes Allah intervene and then make this man very rich materially and the other very, very poor. And Allah said, that's why the ayah you quote is very important. وَأَتُوهُمْ مِنْ مَالِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ. Atuhum, give them out of the bounty, out of the wealth of Allah that Allah has bestowed upon you. It's not because of your, just like the Qarun, what Qarun said. Qarun says, no, this money is because of my wittiness, it's because of my intelligence. No, Allah says no, because sometimes Allah intervenes.
Some people still think that way.
Yes, some people still think that way. That is why when Allah gives stories of the Quran, it is not addressing a particular individual, but it is addressing a particular behavior that is always available, and that is why you find them everywhere. So you think that because of the wealth you have, because of your wittiness, because of your hard work. No. Sometimes Allah intervene to give you more than. Now, what Allah give you now, rather than you hoarding them, rather than you lodging this money somewhere, rather than them depositing them in different banks and then you have neighbors who doesn't have nothing to
starving to death.
Starving to death. Allah say, no, وَآتُهُمْ مِنْ مَالِ اللَّهِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ. Please give them portion of that money for the money that has been given to you. It's not your money. And another verse Allah is saying was, أَنْفِقُوا مِنْ مَالِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ. There are many, many verses talking about giving the fact that the money only goes through you. مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلَفِينَ فِيهِ. There is another verse.
Just a channel, but then you have
just
to
a channel.
give
مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلَفِينَ فِيهِ. You are being made, you are delegated to handle it, but it is not yours. You have to understand that. And if you, then you can see that then zakah is to redistribute the wealth, to make sure that people are not dying with hunger and others are dying because of fatness. Today, if you go And Fukuyama, Francis Fukuyama, has told us in his book that today, 80% of the world wealth, Aissatou, is being consumed by 20% of the world population. If you go to G8, they are consuming 80% of the world wealth. And then 80% of the world population are fighting for the 20% of the world wealth. You cannot have this, you cannot have that, and there are some people having more than. So this is not right. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Quran or the Islam as a civilization, created an institution, not just theoretically, but an institution practically that helped the Islamic State during Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, where they went to find somebody who is a recipient of zakah, and they found no one. Because it was justly redistributed. Every Muslim who were under the obligation to pay out zakah used to be consciously giving it out before it is even time, so much so that those who were recipient, they became also rich. That happened practically in the Islamic world when people left the life of Muslim. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the fifth caliph, people went to look around the poor and the needy, the recipient, and they are worth nothing. So now you can see that it's an institution. Now, the word zakat, as you have mentioned, is an Arabic terminology. It is mentioned in the Quran. Aqimus salat wa atu zakat. Many. Aqimus salat wa atu zakat.
More than 80 verses in the Quran.
More than 80 verses in the Quran. You have also another verse in which Allah is saying, Alif Lam Mim. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه هدى للمتقين الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة ومما رزقناهم ينفقون. Allah is saying about 3 categories of people. One of them, Alif Lam Mim ذلك الكتاب, is saying there are 3 categories. One of them is the believers. هدى للمتقين. Who are those? الذين يؤمنون بالغيب. Those who believe in the unseen. Unseen meaning Allah, the angels, the hellfire. الذين يؤمنون بالغيب ويقيمون الصلاة, and those who establish prayer. وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, and those who spend out of their money. Expenditure and spending is very important form of worship. Worship has different categories: sacrifice, prayer, and also spending. Because I said to spending is to take out of what is very dear to you. You know, money.
To give it out.
Yes.
You know, the Fullers don't like to do that. The Fullers and the Jollers. They will say, oh, once I give, that is it.
It's difficult.
I'll become poor. It's
very difficult. Why? Because money is very dear to people.
That's right.
See, even clothes, sometimes you can choose that one, this one. But money is always... So Allah is saying that it's a form of worship that will test you to see whether you can sacrifice the thing that you really want for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In another verse you have just quoted, وَآتُوهُم مِّن مَالِ الَّذِي آتَاكُمْ and وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلَفِينَ فِيهِ. He says, spend out of which you have been just delegated. And in Surah Al-Tawbah, that's the verse you quote, it is this verse that makes it obligatory. خُذْ مِنْ أَوَادِمْ صَدَقَةً تُطَهِّرُهُمْ وَتُزَكِّيهِمْ بِهَا وَصَلِّ عَلَيْهِمْ إِنَّ صَلَاتَكَ سَكَنٌ لَهُمْ. Allah is saying to the Prophet, look, خُذْ مِنْ أَوَادِمْ صَدَقَةً. Take out of their money an arm. Why? To purify them. Sadaqah, charity. Why? To zakihim biha. You have to purify them and their money. Because when you take out of their money what belongs to others, that will purify the money. That when we take it and give it to the recipient, that will also purify them. Why? Because it will make it develop. That's that is also making the poor and the needy stop grudging others who have a lot of money.
Exactly, because that's what happens. Of course. They believe they are the lowest rung of the economy ladder, and then they are left behind. Exactly.
And believe me, a lot of revolutions happen, a lot of chaos happen, a lot of anarchy happen because it stems out of anger, out of those who are
frustration.
Those who are deprived, and they always look and say, okay, these people. But the moment you share, you trickle it down, then they have nothing. Then it purify yourself individually, it also purifies the society. But yes, you know, the hadith is very nice, which is very good, Aissatou. The hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam sending Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen. The first ambassador that the Prophet sent was Mu'adh ibn Jabal. He sent it to Yemen. And when you go to a foreign land as an ambassador, you are given credential, what we call that letter. When kings send their emissaries, when President King their ambassadors, they give them what they call this letter. to tell them the way they should behave, and also a message